Hey guys, it's Warren again with Creative Capital Funding. Hope you guys are doing well this afternoon. Just wanted to congratulate and give a big shout out to Martin Sines of Note Investing Made Easier and Second Chance Funding on the fantastic job he did this past weekend with his sourcing and due diligence bootcamp. In about 15 hours over 2 days, Martin covered a ton of really useful information, and I've got over 15 pages of notes that I took during those 2 days, and I've got to go back through it and make sure that I've extracted all the lovely little nuggets of information and wisdom from his presentations. After being introduced to Martin a few months ago via a Scott Carson podcast, I read his book, Note Investing Made Easier, and I really enjoyed it. It was really well written, and I appreciated his straightforward approach and method of thinking about note investing. In his book, he describes the systems and the phased process he developed for his business. And this online boot camp that we did this past weekend focused on the first two phases of that process, and that is the sourcing, which is developing that all-important network and those critical relationships that will ultimately bring you the deal flow. And then he also talked about his process for doing his due diligence, and he breaks it into three specific phases. The first is to focus on the property, of course, checking out the asset, making sure that the title is good and that the asset is as described. And then he turns his focus in the second phase onto the borrower. And the borrower is so important because, of course, it's the borrower that will be making those payments once you've done the workout. So understanding what's going on with the borrower is critical, and he gives you a specific process for really getting a better understanding of what that borrower's story is. And then he finally runs the deal through an ROI spreadsheet to make sure that it makes sense for his business model, and that's really important. That systematic methodology takes a more objective approach and removes a lot of the emotion that can sometimes get in the way of making sound decisions for your business. So I thought that was very valuable. Some of the information presented specifically focused on non-performing second mortgages, and I found that to be particularly interesting and useful. I honestly didn't really understand the nuanced differences in working with seconds, but after this workshop, I think I understand much better, and I believe it is really changing the way I'm thinking about my business, which I think is the whole idea behind us going and doing this ongoing education. We're constantly evolving and changing and hopefully improving our business. So that's great. He also introduced us to a number of truly knowledgeable professionals in the business. These are colleagues that he works with on a regular basis, and that made the event even more exceptionally valuable. And I've already reached out and connected with a few of those folks and intend to have more discussions in the future, and I'm really appreciative of that. I also found the open back and forth format of the workshop really nice. It was a little smaller and more intimate group than you may have seen in other workshops if you've participated in any of those, and that allowed us to ask questions via audio as opposed to using just the chat function, and so that we had some really constructive conversations during the boot camp. And I particularly enjoyed that because, of course, I like to talk. And my apologies to the other attendees if I piped up too often. I hope some of my comments maybe were useful to some of the other participants, and I hope I wasn't too distracting. Anyway, a big thank you to Martin. He's very generous with his time and expertise, and he knows what he's talking about. And if you're looking for some really excellent training in the notes business, please check him out at 2cfnow.com. Because he's just great and he's a good guy to know in the business. So please check out some of the other training that he offers. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.